The topic of our team video assignment is mad cow disease, which is also known as bovine spongiform encephalopathy. In this presentation, we'll discuss what a prion disease is, the symptoms, causes and implications of mad cow disease and human-linked Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, the genetic relevance of these diseases, and possible prevention and control measures of these diseases.
Prions, otherwise known as proteinaceous infectious particles, are neurodegenerative diseases which cause misfolded proteins to affect the structure of brain tissue in mammals. Prions trigger normal proteins to fold in an abnormal manner, which results in initial cognitive issues and then death. The abnormal proteins go on to form aggregates called amyloids, and the affected area often sees a high rate of tissue damage and cell death. In humans, the most common prion disease is Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, or animals such as cows can be affected by a prion disease called bovine spongiform encephalopathy. Prion diseases can either be genetic or passed on to the host through infected food, soil, or water. Direct contact with another infected host also spreads the disease by sharing body fluids such as feces, blood, or saliva. Due to the groups of abnormally folded proteins in the brain tissue, the early signs of a prion disease are caused by brain damage. Signs of this damage are usually memory impairment, difficulty moving, confusion, and changes in personality. This brain damage eventually becomes extensive over time and is the reason all prion diseases are fatal. Prion diseases still aren't fully understood, and there are no current cures for infected humans or animals.
Mad cow disease is the common name for a condition called bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or BSE. This is a progressive neurological disease that affects cows. It creates a sponge-like effect in the brain by causing holes in the brain where its cells should be. The first known case of mad cow disease dates back to the 1970s, which then led into an outbreak in 1993. In this outbreak, 1,000 cows were infected each week. The mad cow disease is thought to have started from cows getting fed ground-up meat and bones from other sheep and cows, where there is another prion disease in sheep called scrapie. The prions from the scrapie disease are thought to have moved their prions into the cows and created this disease. The human form of mad cow disease is known as the variant Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, or VCJD. It is a deadly neurological disease in humans due to it causing severe damage to the brain and the nervous system. Humans are thought to have caught the disease through eating an infected cow's meat or through inherited mutation. Once the prions have developed enough in the brain, humans will start to have symptoms like dementia, trouble walking, loss of intellect and memory, loss of balance and coordination, and eventually be in a coma. Once these symptoms develop, patients are most likely to die within a year. In total, 232 people worldwide caught the disease and have all later died from the disease. Today, the risk of developing this brutal disease are very low. Due to the safer farming, chances of eating infected meat have dropped dramatically. Thankfully, new farming practices have also been able to control the disease in cows. This was proven when there were no new cases of BJV or CJD in 2016.
The human variant, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, is a sporadic disease and makes up around 85% of the cases of the human variation of mad cow disease. The other forms are familial CJD, also known as FCJD, and variant CJD. Familial CJD is inherited from parents who carry the mutation on the prion proton gene. This makes up around 10 to 15% of cases. The third variation is called variant CJD and is acquired by consuming meat which is contaminated with mad cow disease. It is also linked to human cannibalism and makes up for less than 5% of cases. The diagram shows the healthy protein compared to the disease-forming prion protein. The occurrence of this disease is caused by nonsense or missense mutations, splice site variants, insertions and deletions in the prion protein gene. It is well known that any change in the nucleotide sequence in proteins causes the shape and hence the function of the protein to change. This new disease-forming protein causes the misfolding of the protein leading to the accumulation of insoluble proteins, destroying neutrons.
Prevention and control measures of mad cow disease. After the huge outbreaks of mad cow disease in England during the 80s and 90s, 4.4 million cows were slaughtered to prevent the disease from spreading to humans. There was extra surveillance of cows after to identify any more sick or mad cows. This disaster resulted in protocols and measures established worldwide to help prevent this happening again. In Australia, a ban was implicated in 1997. There must not be restricted animal material, known as RAM, be fed to any ruminant animal, including cattle, sheep, goats, llama, alpaca or deer. RAM is any material from any vertebrate animal, including fish meal, eggs, poultry meal, bone meal, meat meal, feather meal, and any compound of feeds from these products. The only exceptions are tallow gelatine, milk products, or oils. All stock feeds without RAM must be stored safely to not be contaminated by any other animal products. Products containing RAM must be stored safely out the reach of ruminants in case of an accidental consumption. Since 1966, Australia has implemented a quarantine program for the importation of RAM for all countries with the exception of New Zealand, which is also free from animal TSCs. The US, Canada, New Zealand and UK have all implemented very similar protocols and measures to control and prevent BSE in future.
Determining which species are susceptible to a disease, if the disease is heritable and or sporadic, and if it can be passed between different species, are all important genetic factors to consider when faced with an outbreak. With our understanding of these factors in regards to bovine spongiform encephalopathy, we've been able to prevent large-scale outbreaks like we saw in the 90s. This isn't just important for livestock and consumer safety, but also for the Australian, American, and Brazilian economies, which alone supply half of the world's beef exports. Vigilant testing in the dairy and beef industry worldwide helps to prevent the spread of BSE to humans as variant CJD. Unfortunately, these cases only account for less than 5% of total CJD cases, so this disease is still unpreventable for the most part. There's still a lot of research to be done toward understanding and controlling not just CJD in humans, but also other prion diseases, such as scrapie in sheep and chronic wasting disease in deer.